Imagine a world where everyone is perpetually tipsy. In the mid-17th century, that was the reality of Europe, where fermented ale and wine were the only beverages safe enough to drink in bulk. Then, a strange black bean arrived from the highlands of Ethiopia and effectively woke up a continent, shifting the human mind from a state of sedation to one of sharp, rational stimulation. This wasn't just a new drink, it was the biological fuel for the Enlightenment and the Scientific Revolution. The journey of the coffee bean began in the remote forests of Ethiopia, specifically in regions like Kaffa and Sidama, where Coffea arabica still grows wild today. Ancient legends tell of a shepherd named Kaldi who noticed his goats dancing with unnatural energy after grazing on red berries. While the Kaldi myth is likely symbolic, it reflects the historical truth that humans discovered coffee's invigorating properties centuries before it was formally cultivated. By the mid-15th century, intentional roasting had begun in the highlands of Yemen. Here, Sufi monks used the revitalizing effect of the brew to stay alert during nighttime prayers and meditations. From these terraced mountain farms, the beverage spread across the Islamic world, where the very first coffeehouses, or kave-khaneh, were born as centers of social and intellectual life. When coffee finally reached the ports of Europe in the early 1600s, it hit like a lightning bolt. By 1650, the first English coffeehouse opened in Oxford, and within a few decades, London was teeming with over 3,000 such establishments. These were famously nicknamed penny universities. For the price of a single penny, any man, regardless of his social rank, could enter, buy a dish of coffee, and participate in the era's most cutting-edge intellectual debates. In a strictly hierarchical society, this was radical. A merchant could sit beside an aristocrat, and a philosopher could argue with a mechanic. The coffeehouse was a sober, public, and intellectually charged space that facilitated a free and unrestricted flow of ideas, making rational discourse possible for the first time on a massive scale. This wakefulness and social leveling were exactly what the pioneers of science required. One of the greatest fans of the coffeehouse was the polymath Robert Hooke. Hooke's diaries reveal that he used London's coffeehouses as his primary workrooms and laboratories. He didn't just drink there, he went on coffeehouse crawls, moving between favorites like Jonathan's and Garraway's to meet with craftsmen, scientists, and foreign travelers. Hooke used these spaces to swap information on everything from Brahmin mathematics to the extreme deliciousness of the pineapple. The Grecian coffeehouse, a favorite of the Royal Society, became a central hub for the scientific revolution. It was frequented by giants like Sir Isaac Newton, Sir Hans Sloane, and Edmund Halley. In fact, it was at the Grecian that Halley and Hooke debated the laws of orbital motion, discussions that eventually nudged Newton toward his foundational work on gravity. While ale made people sleepy and cheerful, coffee was noted for making people sharp-witted and picky, creating the perfect mental state for rigorous scientific inquiry. But the revolution wasn't just scientific, it was economic. These shops became hotbeds of financial innovation. Jonathan's Coffeehouse in Exchange Alley served as the original home of the London Stock Exchange. It was here that stockbrokers gathered to trade shares and where major financial events like the South Sea Bubble were cooked up. Simultaneously, Edward Lloyd's coffeehouse near the Thames became the rendezvous for ship captains and merchants who needed to share maritime news and offload risks. Lloyd's eventually evolved into the global insurance giant we know today, forever linking the insurance industry to a 17th-century coffee shop. Not everyone was happy about this newfound mental clarity. King Charles II grew so nervous about the oppositionist ideas and political dissent brewing in these seminaries of sedition that he issued a proclamation in 1675 to shut them all down. He believed that while taverns promoted loyalty through cheer, coffeehouses distributed scandalous reports and questioned His Majesty's government. The public outcry was so intense that the king was forced to withdraw the proclamation after only a few weeks. The coffeehouse had become too essential to the functioning of urban society to suppress. But why does this bean have such a grip on us? The power lies in its complex chemistry. The coffee plant originally evolved caffeine as a secondary metabolite for defense against insects, but in humans, it acts as a physiologically active compound that enhances blood circulation and stimulates the central nervous system. When we roast green beans at temperatures exceeding 200 degrees Celsius, a series of chemical reactions, including the famous Maillard reaction, transforms the bean's composition. This process destroys about 85% of the trigonylene to produce nicotinic acid, better known as vitamin B3, and releases over 1,000 volatile compounds that create the complex aroma and flavor we recognize. The scientific revolution of coffee continues into the 21st century. Today, we are using advanced analytical chemistry to track contaminants and develop green extraction methods. One of the most exciting breakthroughs is the use of ultrasound-assisted supercritical CO2 extraction for decaffeination. By using mechanical sound waves to create acoustic cavitation, the collapse of tiny bubbles that creates hot spots of extreme pressure, we can now extract caffeine in a fraction of the time, doubling the yield while increasing purity. The history of coffee is a testament to the power of a single ingredient to reshape human civilization. It took a wild forest plant and turned it into the fuel for the modern world's most important financial and scientific institutions. It transformed us from a sedated society into a questioning, alert, and connected one. From the Sufi monks of Yemen to the Royal Society members at the Grecian, coffee has always been more than a beverage. It has been the spark for the next great idea. If you want to keep waking up to the hidden histories behind the world's most influential commodities, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Are you drinking a cup of coffee right now? And do you feel a scientific breakthrough coming on? I'll see you in the next video.